Alright, now we're going to move on to the making of the dressing for the tartare. In the bowl here, I've got about half a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, about 1 tablespoon of whole ground mustard, maybe a quarter teaspoon of ketchup. The ketchup just for a little sweetness. And then into that, I'm going to add the juice of half a lemon. I'm probably making more than enough dressing for one batch of tartare. These little juicers are great. Cast aluminum, you'll find them in Mexico. You can get them here too. Next, what I have here is half a shallot. Just going to go ahead and mince this up real fine. Go through super small. I got a very small diced shallot now. Right now I'm going to leave that for now because I'm going to go ahead and mince everything up real small as well. Like you would do with garlic, I'm just going to crush the cornichons to help them mince up easier. So I'll run through the cornichons. This little brown pile there, that's anchovy fillet. It's probably 1 fillet. If you were using paste, I would say that's about a quarter of a teaspoon, or a half teaspoon, I'm sorry. So now that's all minced up. You pull the shallots and the capers and the cornichons and anchovies all together and just give them a nice run through with a knife just to make everything as small as possible. The research I've done on steak tartare, it says that the rumor, the romantic fantasy is that it was named after the Tartars who rode over from Asia and would carry their meat under their saddle, and as they rode, the meat would get pulverized. I've done a little looking into it from what I could find. Wikipedia is certainly not the most accurate source, but from what I read on there, really it was just named basically for steak with tartar dressing, because basically all these things are things that go into tartar sauce, which is probably the first thing I ever made. As a little kid, we were poor, we ate a lot of fish and chips, and of course as a 4-year-old white kid in America, I loved me some tartar sauce. So now everything's real nice and small. It's not quite a paste, but it's going to be perfect. So just get it all into the bowl, kind of let that macerate. Another thing, you'll see a lot of recipes call for brandy in the tartare. Now, I don't have brandy because I don't drink much of it, but I do have bourbon because I drink a lot of it. This Booker's bourbon is some really special stuff. It's like 129.1 proof. You'll really only need a little bit. Even if you're using Evan Williams, you still really only need a little bit. I just put it in there for the sake of liking bourbon. We got my black pepper grinder up here. Give it a few cranks. I don't want to go too crazy on the pepper, just because it's kind of powerful. I'm going to go ahead and say this is like a teaspoon of salt that I'm adding. And then, last of all, I have this is a canola oil olive oil blend. If you were to use straight olive oil, it'd be real pungent. Go ahead and stir this up, and I got a nice messy mess there. Again, the Tabasco, just a dash of it, which is really all that's left in the bottle. And I would love to add Worcestershire, but I don't have any. So we're going to go without Worcestershire today. I'm up here digging around. I should have found it before I started, but I've got some smoked paprika in here somewhere. I think the smoked paprika is going to add not only it's going to keep the meat nice and red, but it'll add that smokiness and heat. That's a good pinch, maybe call it half a teaspoon. And I fully intend to write all this stuff down and post it as an addition. So we got everything in there. Get it all stirred up, and then now is when you might, if you didn't want to garnish your tartare with an egg, you would add the egg yolk right now, and that would help keep this dressing emulsified. But since it doesn't have to last more than a day, I really don't care if it's emulsified. And that was hardly any oil. Really just enough to make it so it's going to mix super easily with the meat. With the amount of mustard that's in there, I don't really anticipate that breaking. Breaking is when the oil separates from the water and everything else in there. And then lastly, a minute ago I picked some flat leaf parsley. I like flat leaf parsley. I think it tastes better. I think it looks better. Curly parsley reminds me of garnish on a plate of eggs at a cheap diner. I think it's totally defunct, and personally I don't have really any space in my kitchen for curly parsley. So there we go. That's plenty. I'll just add that there. If I was so inclined, I would save some for garnish. Maybe if I was at work, I would garnish the plate with maybe some small diced shallot and the chopped parsley. But I'm just going to mix it all in there. It's going to add a really nice, fresh, kind of green flavor as well as color to the tartare. So that's the dressing right there. We'll get into the steak and all that in a minute. Thank you.